right, hello and welcome to episode 26 of Diggs Sideline Podcast. As always, we are your hosts. I'm Sam DeCosmo.
And my name is Patrick Alonia.
Pat, it's week 14 in the NFL. Can you believe it's already week 14?
I cannot, but...
it just feels like yesterday that the season was starting. We're already
time is flying.
Already 3/4 of the way through the season, a little bit more.
Right.
And it's just, oh, man. I'm going to be sad when it's gone.
Yeah, no, it will be sad. We got to think about what we're going to do in the offseason, but...
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure something out.
We always figure something out. But in the meantime, week 14, Vikings have the Lions at U.S. Bank Stadium.
Yep.
And it's a divisional game. The Vikings are the only team in the NFL who haven't played a home divisional game yet.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. Yeah, because I guess we got the Bears, Packers, and Lions coming up here.
Yeah. And then the Vikings are also the only team in the NFL. The only team plus the Patriots.
Plus the Patriots, right.
They're the only teams that are completely undefeated at home. So we have that going for us.
Yep.
And I really, Pat, looking at the Lions, they played on Thanksgiving. I think that the Vikings are going to be able to keep that trend of staying undefeated at home this year.
There is no reason we don't win this game. There's not a single reason.
I mean,
Matthew Stafford.
Matthew Stafford's out.
Kerryon Johnson is still out.
Johnson's out. I mean, they traded Quandre Diggs halfway through the season to Seattle.
Right. And Matt Patricia is kind of on this hot seat right now, But if there's anything to worry about, we are playing a backup quarterback.
That's true.
This is our kryptonite.
You know what? So who was their backup quarterback that they had been going with? What was his name?
It was Driscoll.
Yeah,
something Driscoll.
Yeah, something like that.
But then he's on the IR.
He was doing all right. He's on IR, and they have this David Blau guy that everyone was like, oh, he's going to do really, really bad. But he actually came out against Chicago on Thanksgiving and killed it. He threw 2 touchdowns in the first half.
I was impressed.
In the first quarter. Yeah, I was
extremely impressed with him.
He was putting dimes down. Like,
What I liked about him is, since he is a third-string quarterback, he just went out and played football.
And it was great.
What does the guy got to lose?
I loved
it.
Yeah. I was with my in-laws on Thanksgiving. We were watching the game. And I was just cheering this guy on. I was like, let's go.
Right.
Partly because I wanted the Bears to lose.
Right.
But also, you got to cheer for a guy like that. I'm happy he's seeing success. So he did pretty well. It was his very first NFL start.
Yep.
Thanksgiving, primetime. I mean, primetime, it was still in the morning, but it was Thanksgiving.
Right.
It doesn't really get to be a much bigger stage than that. He went 22 for 38, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And I don't think that interception was his fault. I can't remember the situation. We're a week and a half removed from the game, but and he was sacked twice. But he did his job. He got the Lions out to a good lead early, but they just couldn't sustain. And their defense let up just a slow drip of scores all day.
What I liked about him though was the way he moved around the pocket.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's not necessarily, like this Russell Wilson type, player, but he gets around the pocket. He doesn't
He's a young
sit still.
guy. He's
doesn't
spry.
sit still at all.
Exactly.
Right. And those are always a challenge because anytime you got a player who can extend the play.
And that's exactly what he did.
Exactly.
And on his touchdowns, they were both deep bombs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The Kenny Galladay went for 75 yards.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And Marvin Jones, I think he went for 19 yards.
Right.
19 isn't a huge bomb, but that 75 yard, and that ball traveled about 60 yards in the air. Too.
Right, exactly.
It was insane.
Right.
That crazy. And that was his first NFL completion too. It wasn't his first attempt.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It wasn't his first attempt, but his first completion. So that was pretty cool. But yeah. So I think this David Blau, he's capable, but I still think he has a lot to learn in the game. And I think they took advantage of the Bears early, but I think the Bears were able to make a few adjustments. And the Bears defense is still really good, one of the top in the league. So they made those adjustments, and they shut him down for the rest of the day. I think that's going to be the key here is getting him off of his rhythm early and making him question some things, and just getting him into his own head.
Do you know what I would like to see? Something that we truthfully have not seen. I want to almost say for a couple years now. It's just these constant blitz packages that Zimmer used to scheme up.
Oh, I know. Those double A gaps.
You don't see any of that anymore.
You don't see any of that.
None of it anymore. And
we see double A gaps. You used to see corner blitzes.
And you know why? Because we can't trust our cornerbacks on man-to-man coverage anymore.
It's true.
We just can't. We're playing so much zone that it's just not working anymore. And then we can't get pressure on the quarterback. And so now they've got time to throw the ball. You know what I mean?
True. The only one we really blitz from the backfield anymore is Harrison Smith.
Yeah, and that's like twice a game.
Yeah. But whenever we do it, it's
yeah. There's some pressure there.
It comes up big.
Except for last week in Seattle where they had a 60-plus yard touchdown.
R.I.P. Never forget. So I think that's going to be the key to stopping David Blau is getting him off his rhythm.
Yeah.
Like you said, he can extend a play, but if you take something away from him, he make him go through his progressions.
Here's what I want to say. Okay, so far, just us kind of dropping back into zone simply has not been working. You know what? So what we should be doing is just blitz the hell out of them. Because if they're already going to be completing passes without us blitzing, you might as well try and cause a turnover or rush him, make him, make a ball get tipped, do anything like that to cause a little havoc in the pocket.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean? You might as well just send Barr and Kendricks and
whatever we're doing is not working. We're letting up. Exactly. We're letting up like 20 points a game.
Exactly. And you know what else?
More.
Even we're not even seeing like the slot cornerback, Mackenzie Alexander coming in on. What I mean? Like none of that's happening at all.
Yeah.
So that for sure is our point of emphasis for this game.
Yeah, I think that would be huge. And I think this is the game where we can try to test the waters on that type of thing.
For sure.
See what
works. Exactly.
We're big favorites in this game. It's at home. Granted, I hope that people aren't getting into the mindset of this being a trap game because it very well could be.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think our team has that mentality at all.
You're right. It's a division game. It's just one of those games where it's like, we're 10-point favorites or whatever we are, and we're at home, undefeated at home. And the lines are already removed from playoff contention. It could be one of those games, but I don't think
it could be. Exactly.
I think you're right though, in the fact that it's a division game, and division games are always gritty no matter what.
But I think we've had quite a few wake up calls over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And a lot of our games have been down to the wire essentially, and I think on half of those we've been on the better end and half not. But and I think with the Packers continuing to win here, and they've got. I truthfully think that they're going to win out for the rest of this. I'm sorry, I think they won't win against us, but they'll win at least 3 of those 4 games, and then they will lead the division and unfortunately take it. That's my opinion.
Well, we'll get into that in part 2 of this podcast here. So I just want to highlight Detroit because if there's one thing that they have going for them, it's their receiving core. They have Kenny Galladay, whose hands are just magic. Marvin Jones, whose routes are impeccable. Danny Amendola, who's just a veteran and he knows exactly where to be and where to sit in zone coverage. TJ Hawkinson, that their big-bodied rookie. They have a lot of receiving weapons and threats that we're gonna have to play really good coverage if because this like I said, this David Blau, he can go through his progressions and he can put the ball where it needs to be, and the receivers are good enough to go out and get it. It's just going to be a matter of putting pressure on Blau and getting him to make some mistakes. The thing that I think that they'll have a hard time doing though is establishing the run. Kerryon Johnson's still out, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's out. Yeah. I think he's practicing, but because he was on IR, he has to be out for that set amount of time.
He's not eligible to.
Right. Yeah. So for 2 more weeks. Yeah.
It looks like the Scarborough is their bell cow or their cowbell running back right now. He had 21 carries for 83 yards.
But you know what? I think in today's NFL, man. Yeah, you can be a big name running back, but I think you can honestly slip in almost anybody nowadays and still get at least 60 yards.
I think it depends on your offensive line. I mean, you look at the Steelers and they can do that because their offensive line is incredible.
Right.
I don't think that a team like Jacksonville can do that. I mean, they have a hard time getting their big name guy going.
Yeah.
I think it's all dependent on your offensive line. I think that the offensive line honestly has more of an impact in the running game than the running back itself. You know, and once you get the running back into space, he can make something happen or he gets stopped.
Right.
But getting that initial hold to get that first 5 yards, that's all offensive line.
Right, exactly.
And I'm not sure how the offensive line, how have they been doing for Detroit? I know they let up 2 sacks against Chicago. They were able to run for 105 yards as a team, so they're not doing poorly. They were averaging 3.9 yards, so I think that is that offensive line getting you that first 4 or 5 yards. So I think that they're a capable offensive line.
Right.
We'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah,
again,
definitely.
With how bad we were against the run in Seattle, you got to think that that's a point of emphasis this week in practice.
Right. And you know what? I think they should take out TJ Hawkinson and put in some big boy there in offensive line.
Stop it, Pat. I never want to see a 6 offensive lineman set ever again.
Dude,
it was just
someone needs to change the game and get that implemented, man.
Oh my gosh, that was just painful. That was painful. But yeah, so I mean the Detroit offense, I mean, what can you say? I mean,
I'm gonna be honest. I don't have much else to add to it.
I don't either.
And there's no Matthew Stafford. There's no Kerryon Johnson. I'm not saying that. We just kind of don't know what we're gonna get. Right. It's just gonna kind of be a surprise.
They don't have necessarily big studs on defense either. They have Snacks Harrison, and I'm not even sure, has he been playing or is he out?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
He's. I'm looking at the tackles list here, and he's not even on here.
I just genuinely think something about these backup quarterbacks coming in and us just not having enough information for Zimmer to kind of scheme for them is just an issue, along with our troubling in pass coverage.
Yeah, maybe. So,
I mean, and the first time around, I know Matthew Stafford was there, but it was like a 40-30 game, wasn't it? It was
it was
very high scoring.
It was a high scoring game.
So you kind of alluded to all the weapons that they have on offense, Yeah. So that's going to be a factor. David Blah is not going to be out there just running around with his head cut off.
And they put up 20 points on the Chicago Bears defense.
Right, exactly.
A very, very good defense.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So I mean, you never know what
can cannot count them out, right?
Absolutely.
Any given Sunday, right?
Pat, any given Sunday. So I think their defense is where they're weak, which is interesting because Patricia was he was a defensive guy for the Patriots.
Right. But you know what? You know why him and the Patriots always look great on defense? Is because they have the worst division in football.
Not anymore. Look at the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, yeah.
Oh my
gosh. Can we just exclude this year and
because Patricia
20 years?
Because Patricia wasn't there. Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, Patricia's defense looked great because you're playing the Jets, the Bills, and the Dolphins. Like, what do you?
Right. And they truthfully, aside from Mark Sanchez back with Rex Ryan, which I still look back and then I'm like, how the heck did they get to the NFC Championship game?
AFC Championship.
AFC, excuse me. 2 years in a row.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But speaking of that division, the Buffalo Bills, Patriots are on. They've lost 2 games this year.
Yeah, they're 10-2.
And I think they've gone 2-2 in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So
you're right. Yeah.
Keep trending in that direction, and the Buffalo Bills might be able to take that division. They're only 1 game back.
Without Gronkowski, Brady looks lost.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely. They were talking about how he doesn't Orlovsky was saying how he doesn't have any trust in his receivers.
Yeah.
He was giving Dorsett like a signal like, hey, ball's come to you, and run this route instead of that route. And it was just like a hand signal, and then they quickly snapped it, and then he ran the original route, and Brady threw the ball in the other direction, and he was just pissed, and you could see him mouthing on the sidelines like, I'm done with him.
Right. Holy smokes, I didn't see that.
He said, I'm done with him.
Oh gosh. Are you sure?
I'm dead serious.
Holy frick, man.
Yeah, so things are getting a little tense in
and
New
I'm
England.
sure the only guy he's going to is Edelman, but they must be having because Edelman just runs shorter slant routes, and so you just zone up there and you're good.
Yeah.
But
the one guy that I do root for on the Patriots is that one they had him returning kicks and punts.
Yeah,
it's from Bemidji State.
Really?
Yeah, he came from Bemidji. I forget his name, but he speedy little white guy that the Patriots like, and he's been I think was it Collinsworth that was on the call this past week? Was it Sunday Night Football? I think it was. Yeah, it was Sunday Night Football. Yep. They were showing one of those seam routes that Gronkowski would always run, and he was thrown to that Bemidji State guy. I think he's in 83.
That's amazing.
It's pretty cool.
That's cool. That is cool.
It's really cool.
So here's what I want to do, Sam. So I feel like there's not too much else to talk about the Lions. Let's quick give the spread and our predictions, and then I'm dying to get into the matchups.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we could spend a good 15 minutes on that.
Okay, so the Vikings are, as of right now, 12.5-point favorites over the Lions, and I think that's a decent spread
for sure.
The way our defense has been playing, the way our offense has been playing, I think we could easily put up 30 points.
Yep.
I wouldn't put it past the Lions to put up 17 points. So
I was just sitting here thinking roughly the same thing. So I'm actually curious to hear what your score prediction is.
Yeah, so 30-17 is my score prediction.
Okay.
37, which actually falls right in line with the 12.5-point spread. So we'll see.
All right. So are you doing 30 because we're gonna miss the extra point?
Stop it, Pat. I don't even want to hear about it.
I don't have any tolerance for
we're
missing
gonna kick
extra
2 field
points.
goals. We're gonna kick 2 field goals.
No. Everybody, don't listen to Sam.
3 field goals.
No, we're gonna have all touchdowns and we're gonna miss the extra point.
Stop it.
Okay, so I've actually got 31-24.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got I just think our pass defense is gonna be another issue again.
Yeah.
So it'll be high scoring.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else on that?
No, I think let's get into December football.
Let me give a quick breakdown on what the NFC standings are looking like. So we got the New Orleans Saints who clinched at 10-2.
Okay.
Seattle bumped up to the second spot at 10-2. Then you got the Packers at 9-3. The Cowboys sitting at a measly 6-6 at the 4th spot. And then the wild card is San Francisco at 10-2, which is mind blowing.
Mind blowing.
And then they got us at 8-4. And then here's where it kind of starts to get a little juicy. And this is why we love December football. So we've got the Rams at 7-5, and then the Bears at 6-6, and then the Bucks at 5-7, and the Philadelphia.
I'll tell you what, Pat. It is a bad year to go 10-6 in the NFC. You're
10-6 or
you're not making the playoffs at 10-6 this year. I don't.
Yeah, no, you're right. Actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It really is.
It's such except for the Cowboys, and I want to have that conversation with you.
Yeah, let's talk about that too.
Let's just have the conversation right now.
Let's do it right now.
I think the playoff system in the NFL is broken. I
disagree.
I don't see how the Cowboys at 6-6, and they're probably going to finish 8-8 or whatever they're going to finish at. They're going to get a home playoff game, and the Vikings. God forbid it if we don't make the playoffs, but even if we do make the playoffs, we'll probably get in as a wild card, and we'll be playing on the road the entire time, which we're a much better team than the Cowboys. So it's just, I think it's and there's other teams like the Rams that are a much better team that are going to miss the playoffs.
Right.
And I understand that you want to have a representative from each division, but when the divisions are garbage, when the NFC East is garbage like it is, it's like, what? You can't be sending a team to the playoffs at 8-8.
That's just the way that it goes, and then it would defeat the purpose of. What's the point of winning the division?
No. Because here's the thing: you could still have divisional wins as a tiebreaker. So say the Cowboys
need to have a win in the division.
But here's the thing: the Cowboys and the Vikings. You put them head to head. If they ended with the same record, but the Vikings had more division wins than the Cowboys. I'm not sure if that's how it's shaking out. Yeah. But I think you give the Vikings or whatever team it may be, you give them a seed up on the Cowboys. It's just ridiculous that they're seeding these teams, and it's not based on talent. It's based on how bad your division is.
Right. No, I understand where you're coming from. And then the year's going to come when the Vikings are 8-8, 7-9, and we're sneaking.
The playoff system's perfect.
And we're sneaking into the playoffs with the 4 seed. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I understand where you're coming from. I think where that's only applicable is like college football, where
don't even get me started on how broken the
that
college
is still broke. There's no reason why the playoff system isn't bigger. It's more expansive, right? You know what I mean? I guess I don't have anything to rebuttal you other than this is just the way it's been, and in my head it just makes sense.
What a good answer. Usually you don't have a situation like this. Usually the winners
are a little
better, are a little bit more
right. And they could sneak out to a little better record there. But
okay, so let's talk about where the NFL stands today. Yeah. So tonight, for those who don't know, we're recording this before the Thursday night football game,
right?
And tonight it is the Bears and the Cowboys.
Yeah, right.
I actually, it's going to sound weird, but hear me out. I want the Bears to win tonight. Now, hear me out. So, what's their record right now? They're 6-6.
Bears are 6-6. Cowboys are also 6-6.
Okay, and the Vikings are 8-4.
Yep.
Right. So if the Bears win tonight, they will only be at 7-6.
Right.
Okay, so the Vikings still have plenty of spread, plenty of separation from them.
Are we assuming that we're going to win on Sunday?
Against Detroit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what if we don't?
Okay, hold on. Just hear me out.
Okay.
Just hear me out. Even if we don't, it's still a game separation. All right, so the Bears beat the Cowboys. The Bears, the very next week, play the Packers. I want them going into that game thinking that they still have a chance to make the playoffs, and they play as hard as they freaking can against the Packers and beat them. Because I believe that game is in Soldier Field.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
And, division games are always going to be tough, but when you are fighting and scratching and clawing for a playoff spot, you are going to fight. You're going to play as hard as you possibly can.
All right.
I want to give the Bears some hope, and I want them to beat the Packers, and then they still play the 49ers, and then they play us. So I think they're of their 4 games, I can give them to win 2. They're not going to win all 4. They're not going to catch up to us. They'll end 8-8, and they'll knock the Packers down a peg and give us an opportunity.
And the Packers are going to lose to Washington, right?
No, we can talk about that here in a second. No, so what that also does is it gives the Packers another divisional loss. So right now the Packers don't have a divisional loss.
Right.
So between the Bears, if my projection is right, between the Bears divisional loss and the Vikings divisional loss, that would put the Packers at 2 divisional losses.
Right, that makes sense.
Tied with the Vikings. So then we would go to strength of schedule, and the Vikings would win. Strength of shared win-loss versus common teams, and Vikings have the upper hand on that.
So, okay.
So, that's how that would go. So I'm pulling for the Bears tonight.
All right, I think I can get behind that actually. Now that you've explained, I think we were talking through text, and you can just never get anything through text.
I mean, it seems weird to root for a divisional rival when you're scratching and clawing for a playoff spot.
What I can say is that the Bears don't concern me. Like Trubisky just doesn't worry me as much. You know what I mean? So while I'm sitting here thinking that I do think that we'll be a wild card team, and so I really don't want the Bears kind of nipping at our butts near the end of the season, and then we play them week 17 there. You know what I mean? So that's my concern. I don't want there to be a chance where we're sitting there kind of neck and neck, and then they knock us out.
Right. So okay. So let's game plan this. So the Saints have clinched their division, so they are not going to be a wild card team.
No. Seattle and the Niners, one of those two will be a wild card team.
So then the NFC East is not sending two teams. They're only going to be sending one team.
The Eagles or the Cowboys.
Whichever one doesn't matter. So the divisions that are going to send two teams are the NFC North and the NFC West.
Right.
Because I believe the Panthers are already eliminated from playoff contention, and the rest of, and the Falcons, and I believe the Bucs too. So the South is only sending.
Are the Bucs too?
Yeah, I think the Bucs
are sitting at the 9 seed at 5 and 7.
Oh well, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not mathematically eliminated
in it, but
yeah,
I'm not worried about them.
So the divisions that are going to send two teams are the West and the North. So in the West you have the Saints the Seahawks and the 49ers, and they're both tied at 10-2.
Right,
both very good teams.
They play each other. I think at the end of the season too.
I think the NFC West is going to be sending their second team as the number 5 seed. And
right.
I just think that there's so much separation between the 10-2 teams and the Vikings at 8-4. You can't cover that ground in 4 weeks with the schedule that they have left over.
Right.
So that means that the NFC North is going to be sending the 6th seed, and whether it's the Vikings or the Packers. I went over how I think that the Vikings could win the division. If they don't, they will be playing, or they'll be going in as a 6th seed, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. The West and the South, I believe, are going to be having the number 1 and number 2 seed, so they'll have the bye. So that means that the Vikings will play the number 3 seed, and that is probably going to be the Packers. We said last week we're okay with going to Lambeau Wild Card weekend, because the NFC East is going to be the 4 seed because they're the worst of all the division leaders.
Right.
So it's looking like the Packers are going to be the number 3 seed and the Vikings would be the 6 seed. And let me hear you, and let me throw this at you. Even if the Vikings win the division, that means that the Packers would be the 6th seed. So it looks like the Vikings and Packers are going to be playing each other.
That would be even better case scenario if we could get the Packers
because then
US Bank.
Yeah, because then we'd have it as a home game. But
right.
Either way, regardless of how it shakes out, that's probably how it's going to look. So, I honestly don't hate that. I mean the
being
Packers being a 6th seed. Because
I don't either. Because regardless of the fact we're going to be playing on the road the following game and moving on, right? You know what I mean? So it doesn't really matter. So I think best case scenario is Green Bay. I guess playing Dallas would be ideal too. But we're not going to be able to.
We're not going to be the
Seattle and San Fran are 10-2.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Right. And Seattle has a record tiebreaker on us.
And those two do play each other week 17. So if we win 2 and they drop one, they drop a couple too, then.
But we lost to Seattle.
So we would basically need the Niners to keep losing out. But anyways, I'm not going to hope and pray for that.
Either way, so after wild card weekend, if the Vikings are in fact the 6th seed, then they'd be playing the number 1 seed, which is looking more and more like it's going to be Seattle.
Right.
They already have one game on the 49ers, so
you're saying Seattle's going to be the 1 seed?
I think Seattle's going to be the 1 seed.
They're going to take over the Saints.
Are the Saints sitting at the 1 seed right now?
Oh yeah, Saints are 1 seed, dude.
Oh really?
Yeah. They will. They're going to stay there. There's no way they're moving.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think the Seahawks could find out, because what's putting the Saints in the number 1 seed right now? I think it's just divisional games, and I think the Saints have played more divisional games than the Seahawks.
Oh, hang on, this is juicy here. So the Saints are playing the Niners.
Ooh.
So Saints are playing the Niners. So that's actually a pretty big game.
That is a pretty big game.
So, are we rooting for the Saints? Because what if we did take that 5 seed and we played the Cowboys or Philly? Let's just say Cowboys.
We'd have to look at what the tiebreakers, because say the Niners lose to the Saints and then they lose to the Seahawks again,
because they played week 17,
and then the Vikings win out. Then we'd have the same record as them. We'd have to look to see.
It'd be conference.
It'd be division wins,
and then conference wins.
and then conference wins. Yes.
Is that how?
That's how that. So
even if we're in separate divisions.
Yes. So we would have the same number of division wins because we have 2 losses. They would have the 2 losses to Seattle.
Yeah.
So then it would go to conference wins. And one of the Vikings' losses is out of conference, but so is the Niners with their loss to Baltimore.
Yep.
So man, we'd have to hit,
okay, so
dude, if you get all the way to the bottom of the tiebreakers, it's literally a coin flip.
Yeah. Okay, so can we both agree that we're rooting for the Saints on Sunday?
Maybe.
Dude, okay.
Maybe.
Now I'm getting hopeful for that 5th seed.
Oh, we'll see.
I wouldn't mind playing the Cowboys.
Here's the thing. I wouldn't. I wouldn't mind
playing
with
either or.
But I also wouldn't mind. So regardless of wild card weekend, however that shakes out, if we're playing the Packers or the Cowboys, I would rather play the Seahawks the week after that because
I don't want to play the Seahawks.
We came so freaking close. Pat.
I don't care.
Pat,
I don't care.
We came so listen. We came so close, and it's very, very difficult to beat a team.
Oh, but
twice
Russell
in the same
Wilson
year.
and the Seahawks
Russell
beat
Wilson
us
wasn't
6
that
times
great
every time. I don't care.
Stop! As long as Booger McFarland isn't on the call,
okay,
we'll be all right.
No. Okay, let me quick say something. When we won the Minneapolis Miracle game, right? I got into a heated argument with my brother because it was the way it was kind of shaping out. Whoever won, but leading up to that week, right? So it was either we were going to play the Saints or we were going to play the Panthers, depending on how those went, right? I was all for playing Cam Newton and the Panthers rather than the Saints.
Yeah, me too.
All for. I don't even care if we were at home.
Me too.
Which we were, obviously.
Yep.
I didn't care, right? My brother was bent on, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what his reasoning was, but he was all in on Drew Brees. Maybe he was coining the whole, Drew Brees is too old. I'm Sam. Oh, yeah. But, so, where was I going with this?
You wanted to play the Panthers. Your brother wanted to play the Saints.
Yeah, but what was my thought before that?
I don't know, man. I'm not in your head.
Oh, darn it.
But
I don't know where I was going with that.
So, man, there's just a million, there's only 4 weeks left, and there's a million different ways this thing could shake out. It's exciting. It's gonna come. So there's come down to the wire.
There's one more matchup that we have to look at too.
Yeah,
it's the Rams. So Vikings are 8-4 and the Rams are 7-5, and the Rams are playing.
So the Rams play the Seahawks.
So and we're rooting for the Seahawks. Oh, I know. I remember what my point. Let me go back. Sorry, guys. So my point was about Russell Wilson. You were saying that it's tough to beat a team twice, right?
Yeah.
I don't care. It's like I think of Russell Wilson in the playoffs as I do Drew Brees in the playoffs. It's a different mindset. It's a different. Yeah. You don't want to go to Seattle in the playoffs. Nor do you want to go to the Saints.
We'll be back in Seattle.
You just don't want to. And I don't care if we were knocking on the door, but we're going to be like crawling to the door.
Do you want to go to New Orleans in the playoffs?
No.
We got to go to one of the two.
Shoot. Yeah, I see. Oh, I see. You're comparing going to Seattle over the...
And you,
oh my gosh, let's not even think about that right now. It's stressing me out.
Okay, so back to the Rams. So they play the Seahawks this week.
So Rams play Seahawks.
So I think
Sunday Night Football.
So I think we're pulling for the Seahawks in that game.
I think we are because we just don't need the Rams knocking on our door.
We don't need the Rams knocking on the door.
Yeah,
but I think they play the Seahawks twice.
No,
before the end of the year. Don't they?
No. It's Seahawks, Cowboys, Niners, Cardinals. We got a lot of juicy matchups here.
So I think the Rams lose to the Seahawks and the Niners. And they end.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And then they end the season 9-7. And
they beat the Cardinals in the yeah. So I'm not too worried about it, but you never know. We could drop a couple.
You never know.
We could drop one of the Packers and the Lions. Let's just throw those out. You never know. And we got the Chargers coming up too. So, dude, what's going to be fun for everybody, at least for us? I think now every preview episode we get to dive into every matchup heading forward because now every game
counts.
Yeah,
regardless of whether or not it's a Vikings game, every game in the NFC is going to help determine what that playoff picture looks like and where the Vikings sit.
Right. So
it's going to be very exciting.
I want to ask our anyone who's watching or listening. So why don't you guys give us your opinion aside from the Vikings game? What's a matchup that you're looking forward to most? Heading into this week. You know what I mean?
I'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, we would love to hear that. That's kind of sums up, I think, the gist of it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to quick say, Sam and I almost got into a little bet.
You're going to bring this up?
Yeah, just quick summarize the 2 minute.
Okay, so Pat and I were looking at the Packers-Redskins game this week, and Pat was like, Packers are going to win easily. I want to put some, thinking he was wanting to make a little bit of a bet with me. I was like, okay.
Well, it wasn't a bet. I was just saying that they were going to handle. No,
hold on.
Okay, sorry.
It started with me saying, hey, the Redskins are still mathematically in it.
Right.
They're on a 2-game win streak.
Yeah,
you never know any given Sunday, right?
I was laughing when you told me this,
Pat was just laughing, and so he's like, I would put any amount of money on the Packers. They're going to win that game. I said, I don't know, man. Any given Sunday. He's like, let's put $100 on it, you and me. And I was like, you know what? I will bet on that, but I'm going to bet the odds. So the odds were, it was the Packers minus 750 or something like that. Something crazy like that. Packers minus 750, and that, which means that you would have to bet $750 in order to win $100. And then it was the Redskins plus 525, which means if you bet $100, you could win $525.
Right.
So I said, Pat, I'm willing to make this bet with you, but only at these odds. So Pat was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm like, all right.
No. Well, okay. Just to preface, I don't do any sports gambling. I don't understand. I'm going to be flat out. I don't understand anything about odds.
So Pat was like, all right, cool. Well, let's do $100 each. So I was like, okay, cool. And so extrapolating that out, if you bet $100, so if you were to bet on the Packers, you'd need to bet $750 in order to get paid out $100.
Right.
So if you're betting $100, that would net you a grand total of $13.
I can find a billion better places to put my money.
But with my $100 bet, I would stand to win $525 from Pat. So I was like, hey, yeah, we'll each bet $100.
Yeah, okay.
And if you win, you'll win $13 from me. Great.
So it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, if we're doing the spreads, yes, Sam, you have,
no, that's not even point spreads. That's just money line.
More because the Redskins
line.
are throwing. I understand. But it just doesn't make sense to do it. If you want to do just straight up win or lose, or
no, because that's so stupid.
No, it's not. I'm saying that
you have to hedge your bet with the odds, because otherwise I'd just be throwing $100 away.
That's all I wanted to hear. That's all I wanted to hear.
Throwing $100 away to maybe on a random off chance of collecting $525, then yeah, absolutely, I'm going to do that.
That's all I wanted to hear, because you were all, the Redskins are on a 2-game win streak, Pat.
I'm just going to say,
the Redskins might sneak in here.
$13 could get you a nice lunch one day.
I don't even buy lunch. I'm lactose intolerant. There's no dessert options for me, Sam.
All right, so join us next time on Dig Sideline Podcast. We'll be reviewing the Vikings-Lions game and discussing more about how the NFC playoff picture has been shaking out. So until then, Skol Vikings.
Thanks, guys.